There's going to be it's Thursday, so it's question time. No, there's going to be a special edition tonight because it's a young person's version.
It's a school's version of the show, and the audience is going to be made up of 16 to 18-year-olds. One lucky panellist was chosen by viewers online. Let's have a look at some of their auditions.
Michael Heaver.
Well, you know what? I'm getting really sick of this. I'm getting really sick of the namby-pamby approach we take to people that carry knives. Now, I'm a young person. I know young people that have carried knives. I know people that have been punished. The people we need to be looking after in these communities are the people that are in these sorts of environments that don't carry knives, that accept the personal responsibility, that act as adults and rise above what their peers may do. I do think the people that carry knives should be imprisoned because that's a conscious decision. Now, you can blame society all you like, but the fact is, in these areas, it is never 100% of the people that carry the knives. So I'm
what
afraid...
do you say to Jess's point that people are carrying knives because it's for defence? They're terrified of being knifed themselves if they go out on the streets.
I would say you have to take that into account, but at the end of the day, the message has to be strong and clear. It has to be, if you take this decision, you will get put in prison. At the moment, it's a mixed message as far as I'm concerned. You can take one out and you can maybe not get put in prison, but if you use it, you do. I mean, isn't that just an accident waiting to happen?
Namby-pamby approach to carrying knives. Well, the young man who made that statement is 18-year-old Michael Heaver, who joins us this morning, and David Dimbleby is, of course, the presenter of Question Time. Good morning, both.
Good morning.
Oh, you speak as you find.
Yeah.
But did you not find that intimidating? You seemed very, very confident there.
I did find it intimidating, I must say. I mean, sitting at the table with David is not an easy experience, but it's one I did really enjoy, and, you know, the guys at the BBC made us feel really comfortable, and it was just really great to get my views out there.
So everybody was fighting for a place on the panel, weren't
Oh,
they?
yeah, it was pretty rabid fighting, actually. good debate.
They were all very polite to each other afterwards.
Yes, which is as it should be. But tonight, then, Michael is one young person on the panel, and the audience are young people, but the other panellists are not.
The others are seasoned politicians.
Your regulars.
Douglas Alexander, Iain, Duncan Smith, Julia Goldsworthy for the Liberal Democrats. So I was saying to him earlier, he's got three, you know, because he obviously likes having a go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perhaps the wrong word to use after talk about the knives, but he's got three senior politicians, experienced people to have a go at. So he'll have fun.
Are you excited about it? So knives, we know your position on knives. Is there anything else that you would like to raise while you're on the panel? You've got the politicians there. I know it's down to the questions that come in.
Well, I mean, I'm a member of UKIP, so certainly I'm interested in the European Union. I mean, at the moment, obviously, it's the Lisbon Treaty.
It's the UK Independence Party.
The UK Independence Party, yeah. But obviously, at the moment now, we've got the road tax has come up today. We've got the soldiers fighting for this country. A lot of them are talking about being unhappy. I think that's very important to me as well. And, of course, knife crime as well. Rounds it off nicely as a young person.
Also been...
Michael, that young people don't vote, they're not interested in politics, they don't like politicians. But young people I meet, I mean, from 16 to 21, are all passionately motivated about what's going on in their streets and their communities and want to do something about it. Does it stop there? Do you think that they are interested but they don't actually want to vote when it gets down to it? Why do fewer of them vote?
I mean, personally, I think at the moment in this country, there's not a lot of choice for young people to vote in terms of difference in the three main parties. I think they look the same, they sound the same. But I mean, you go and talk to any young person at the moment, and they all have a view on these issues. So
you're interested in politics, but not in the politicians?
They're interested in talking about it, they're not interested in voting, and that's something we've got to change, I think.
Well, good evening and welcome to this very special edition of Question Time, Schools Question Time. This week's programme has been produced with a team of students who won a national competition to take part, and Michael Heaver, who's 18 years old, a student who lives in Cambridge, won our competition to find a young member of the public to put on the panel. And in addition, I should say, our audience here tonight are all 18 or under, this section here, and if you hear an awful lot of noise, it's because there are another 1,000 people or more eavesdropping on the programme. Our first question tonight, which comes from Satvir Digpal.
David Cameron quoted, anyone convicted of knife crime should go to jail. Do you believe that's a practical way of dealing with crime?
Michael Heaver.
Actually, I think the killings are absolutely tragic, and I think what I've heard so far here is way too soft. I think any guys that go out with a knife or a shank, or girls for that matter, and they go out on the streets, they know what's right, they know what's wrong. Let's face it, let's be real here. If you pack yourself with a knife and you go out on the streets, you know you're doing wrong. You know you're doing wrong, and you should know now. You should know that you could go to prison. I mean, and I do think that's politicians' job, actually, because I do think that young people see politicians at the moment as not giving a clear message on this. I mean, are we saying that if you go out with a knife that you may not go to prison? I mean, it should be, the message should be, if you go out with a knife and you get found, you will get put in prison.
Okay. The statistics from the British Crime Survey are black people are 7 times as likely to be stopped as white people. Why should that be so? Michael Heaver.
Well, I mean, I think there is a problem in the black community with knives, but there is also a problem in the white community with knives. Now, what you've got to look at is the fact that, as a percentage, more people that are getting killed with knives are black rather than white. But this doesn't mean necessarily that we need to be stopping, I think it was 7 times more likely to be black than white be stopped. I do think, though, that we need to do this head on. Political correctness can get in the way of solving the problem sometimes. I think we've got to stand up here, and what we've got to say, we've got to address the problem, we've got to talk to community leaders, people that know what's going on in these concentrated communities, as Douglas said, because it is quite a concentrated area now, especially in London. And it's on a community, grassroots level, talking to the youngsters. And also, I'd just like to say as well, David, I think, like someone said down there, we need to get young people motivated, we need to give them things to do, and I think my party now, UKIP, is the only party proposing the return of grammar schools, which I think would be absolutely fantastic for these areas, to give young people from poorer backgrounds and deprived areas the best chance of a decent education.
Okay.
This thing about we must talk to the community leaders. I'm sorry, I am a British citizen. My community leader is my MP. You know, who is the community leader for white kids?
That isn't reality, though. If you go on the streets in these areas, the MPs don't have the respect for the young people.
The kids don't even know who their community leaders are.
They don't know who their MP is.
So why the hell should we go to community leaders to say, hey, listen, you need to sort these kids out?
Because these people have given up on the political system.
No, but there are,
we need to take it back to basics. I'm sorry, that's true. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The community leaders, in most communities, these people are not elected to represent their communities.
But they're the ones.
They're
the ones running the charities that are helping these people, not the MPs.
Michael Heaver said that there were more black people stopped and the ratio is 7 to 1 because that was where there was more knife crime, if I understood you correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Is it acceptable that world leaders at the G8 summit have a lavish 8-course meal whilst the global food crisis is on their agenda?
Is it acceptable that world leaders at the G8 summit, which cost a fortune to hold anyway, have a lavish 8-course meal while the global food crisis is on their agenda? When you, as International Development Secretary, next hold a conference here in London, will it be salad and water?
I actually asked our officials that this evening, and they told me that when we had the G8 summit in the United Kingdom, I don't think we stretched to 8 courses, so I hope we've learned some lessons from the Japanese.
Okay. Michael Heaver.
Better chosen menu. I think that's putting it a bit lightly there, Douglas. 7 courses, bloody hell. I mean, let's be fair here. It just, in my mind, just confirms that politicians are completely disconnected from you and me. You know, they say one thing, they do another.
Don't you think Gordon Brown's been increasingly critical, saying do not waste food, don't chuck food away, yet he agrees with the EU fishing quota that sees us chucking back millions of fish per year?
Iain Duncan.
I think that's an absolutely great comment. I think you're absolutely right. We have the absurdity in the European Union of 2 particular areas. The first is a thing called the Common Agricultural Policy, which so subsidises people in this block of the world to grow at inflated prices while people in Africa can't sell their produce to us because we undercut it by subsidising farmers over here. That's
what's
an
your party going to
absurdity.
do?
Wait a minute. And on fish too.
Well, we'll see.
These fishing waters were our fishing waters, and now everybody else but us comes and fishes them,
and it won't change.
We're not allowed to have it. They throw it away.
Conservative government, that won't change.
You hang on a second. We'll deal with that in a second.
Andreas Chrysostomou, please.
Have MPs at expenses contributed to the loss of respect concerning politics?
So back home, have MPs' expenses contributed to the loss of respect concerning politics? Michael Heaver.
Absolutely. as somebody mentioned earlier, I mean, we look to politicians on the issue of politics to be straight. I mean, they tell us often enough how straight they are and how they get a bad deal, and you know, it's a fair cop gov. But I mean, we've got the whole thing with the MPs at the moment. What I would like to talk about is the MEPs. If you look at the moment, Iain, some of your MEPs are having a spot of trouble, aren't they? I mean, I believe one of them was caught giving 750 grand to a company that his wife and his daughter owned. I mean, how can this happen? And for me, it epitomises the European Union system. And not enough people... For me, not enough people know what's going on in the European Union. Britain needs to leave the European Union. It's an absolute mess if you look at it.
All right. Iain?
To find out more about who we are and what we stand for, go to the UK Independence Party website at www.ukip.org.